A hungry old woman walked into a small cafe with only $3 in her purse. A young student secretly gave her a meal she could not afford. But what happened 10 minutes later shocked the entire restaurant. Because that old woman was hiding a secret no one could imagine. It was a cold, windy evening in Chicago. The streets were shining under the yellow streetlights, and people were rushing to get inside warm buildings. Winter had arrived early that year, and the air felt sharp and heavy. On Maple Street, there was a small, cozy cafe called Maple Street Cafe. It was not a fancy place, but it was known for its warm food and friendly service. Inside the cafe, a young college student named Emily was working behind the counter. Emily was 21 years old. She studied psychology at the University of Illinois and worked evening shifts at the cafe to pay for her rent and tuition. Life was not easy for her, but she never complained. Customers liked Emily because she always smiled and treated everyone with kindness. Even on the busiest days, she stayed calm and patient. That evening, the cafe was full. A group of office workers were talking loudly near the window. 2 teenagers were sharing fries and laughing. A middle-aged couple sat quietly, drinking coffee. The smell of fresh bread and grilled sandwiches filled the warm air. Emily wiped the counter and checked the clock. Another 2 hours before her shift ended. Just then, the bell above the door rang softly. Emily looked up. An elderly woman slowly walked inside. She looked around, 75 years old. Her gray hair was tied back, and she wore a thin brown coat that looked far too light for the cold weather outside. Her shoes were old and worn. She walked carefully toward a small corner table and sat down quietly. Emily noticed something immediately. The woman looked tired. Not just tired from walking. She looked like someone who had been fighting life for a very long time. Emily walked toward her table with the menu. "Good evening, ma'am," she said gently. "What would you like to order tonight?" The woman looked at the menu for a long moment. Then she asked a quiet question. "Dear, what is the cheapest meal here?" Emily thought for a moment. "Our grilled chicken sandwich is the cheapest full meal," she replied. The woman nodded slowly. "And the price?" $8.50, Emily said. The woman hesitated. Then she slowly opened a small worn purse. Onto the table. Emily watched quietly. $1, $2, $3. That was all. The woman stopped counting and looked embarrassed. "I am sorry, dear," she said softly. "I thought I had enough money." She slowly began putting the coins back into her purse. Emily felt a painful feeling in her heart. She had seen this situation before. People who were hungry but too proud to ask for help. The woman stood up slowly, as if she was about to leave. But Emily spoke quickly. "Please, wait a moment, ma'am." The woman looked confused. Emily walked quickly to the kitchen. Her mind was racing. The cafe rules were clear. Employees were not allowed to give away food. Every item had to be paid for. The manager, Mr. Daniels, was strict about it. But Emily looked back at the old woman sitting alone at the table. She looked weak and cold. Emily made a decision. 5 minutes later, Emily returned carrying a tray. On the tray was a fresh grilled chicken sandwich, a plate of golden fries, and a hot cup of tea. She placed the tray gently in front of the woman. The woman looked shocked. "Dear, I told you I cannot afford this," she said. Emily smiled softly. "Tonight this meal is on me." The woman stared at her in disbelief. "Why would you do that?" Emily shrugged lightly. "Because everyone deserves a warm meal." The woman looked down at the sandwich. Her eyes slowly filled with tears. "You remind me of my daughter," she whispered. "She used to say the same thing." The woman carefully picked up the sandwich and took a small bite. It looked like the best meal she had eaten in a long time. Emily quietly returned to the counter. But someone had been watching everything. The cafe manager, Mr. Daniels. He walked toward Emily. with a serious expression. "Emily, what did you just do?" Emily stayed calm. "I gave her dinner," she said. "Did she pay for it?" "No, sir." Mr. Daniels frowned. "Emily, you know the rules. Food cannot be given away for free." Emily nodded. "I will pay for it from my salary," she replied. Mr. Daniels shook his head. "This is a business, not a charity." Some customers nearby had started watching the conversation. Emily glanced toward the old woman again. She was eating slowly, as if she had not eaten properly for days. Emily turned back to the manager. "Sometimes kindness is more important than rules," she said quietly. Mr. Daniels sighed in frustration. Just then a gentle voice spoke from behind them. "Young man." They both turned around. The old woman was standing beside the table. She had finished her meal. Her face looked calmer now. "How much was the bill?" she asked. $8.50, Mr. Daniels replied quickly. The woman opened her purse again, but this time she did not take out coins. Instead, she pulled out a small folded card. She handed the card to Mr. Daniels. "Please read this," she said. Mr. Daniels looked confused, but took the card. The moment he read the name on it, his face changed completely. His posture straightened immediately. His voice became respectful. "Ma'am, I did not realize it was you." Emily looked between them in confusion. What was happening? The woman turned toward Emily and smiled warmly. "Young lady," she said, "you gave food to a stranger tonight. You did not know who I was. You did not expect anything in return." Emily felt nervous. "I just wanted to help," she replied. The woman nodded. "And that is exactly why this cafe needs someone like you." Emily blinked in surprise. "What do you mean?" The woman took a step closer. "My name is Margaret Whitaker. I am the owner of this cafe." Emily froze. The manager looked embarrassed. The customers nearby whispered in surprise. Margaret Whitaker continued speaking calmly. "Once every year, I visit this cafe dressed like an ordinary customer. I want to see how people are treated when they look poor and unimportant." She looked directly at Emily. "Tonight you showed something rare. You showed true kindness." Mr. Daniels stood silently. Margaret Whitaker turned toward him. "Rules are important," she said, "but kindness is more important." Then she looked back at Emily. "Young lady, starting tomorrow, you will not work behind the counter." Emily looked confused. "Then where will I work?" Margaret Whitaker smiled. "You will work beside me, as the assistant manager of this cafe." Emily's eyes filled with tears. The entire cafe became quiet. Then someone started clapping. Soon everyone in the cafe was applauding. Margaret Whitaker picked up her coat and prepared to leave. Out, she said something that everyone remembered. "A small act of kindness can change a life. Tonight, it changed yours. And it reminded me why this cafe exists." Emily watched her walk out into the cold Chicago night. But this time the cold did not feel so heavy. Because sometimes one simple decision can open a door that changes everything. And that night, a hungry stranger walked into a cafe. But she walked out after changing someone's entire future.